The twin moons of Thesara cast violet shadows across the crystalline streets as I walked alone through the alien marketplace. 3 months into my assignment as a xenoanthropologist, and I still felt like an outsider among the Thessarians, their elongated limbs, iridescent skin that shifted colors with emotion, and those eyes that seemed to see straight through your soul. I was supposed to be observing their evening rituals, taking notes on social interactions, remaining professional, but then I saw her. She stood beneath a canopy of bioluminescent vines, her skin shimmering between deep sapphire and silver. Unlike other Thessarian women who wore flowing robes, she was dressed in fitted attire that accentuated every curve of her tall, graceful form. Her hair, if you could call it that, floated around her head like liquid mercury, defying gravity. When she turned, I couldn't look away. Our eyes met. Her pupils dilated, the orange glow intensifying as she held my gaze. I'd been warned never to stare at Thessarians. It was considered either a challenge or an invitation, depending on context. My heart hammered as I tried to look away, but I was frozen. She moved toward me with predatory grace, each step deliberate. The crowd seemed to part for her without anyone noticing. Up close, she was breathtaking. Angular features that were almost feline, lips that were fuller than most of her species, and that intoxicating scent like ozone and night-blooming flowers. "Human," she said, her voice like wind chimes and thunder. "You see me." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to—" She placed one long finger against my lips, silencing me. Her touch sent electricity racing through my body. When she spoke next, her mouth didn't move, but I heard her voice inside my skull. "Do not apologize for seeing what others cannot." Before I could respond, she pressed her palm against my chest. The world exploded into sensation. I saw flashes, laboratories hidden beneath the planet's surface. Thessarian scientists working with human DNA, conspiracy meetings in shadows. I saw her, naked and vulnerable in a medical pod, tears streaming down her face as they altered her body. I felt her loneliness, her rage, her desperate need for someone who could understand. Then I was back in the marketplace, gasping, my knees buckling. She caught me effortlessly, her arms strong and surprisingly warm. "My dwelling, now," she commanded, though her mental voice was gentler. "You are not safe here anymore. They know you saw." "Who knows? What did you show me?" "Everything your government doesn't want you to know about why humans were really invited to Thesara." She glanced around nervously, her skin flickering red, the Thessarian signal for danger. "My name is Kavara, and if you want to survive the next hour, you'll trust me." Kavara's dwelling was unlike any Thessarian home I'd visited. While others lived in organic structures grown from living crystal, hers was carved into the cliff face outside the city, hidden, defensible, isolated. She sealed the entrance behind us with a gesture, and bioluminescent patterns flared to life along the walls. "Sit," she instructed, gesturing to low cushions that seemed to mold themselves to my body. "You need water. Your species dehydrates quickly under stress." She handed me a container, and I drank gratefully, watching her pace. Her skin shifted through a spectrum of colors. Anxiety, I'd learned, manifested as rapid color changes. When she finally settled beside me, close enough that our knees touched, the colors stabilized to a deep purple. "I should explain what you saw," she began, her actual voice this time, though it carried an accent I couldn't place. "But first, you must understand. I chose you specifically, Ethan. That wasn't a chance encounter." My name in her mouth sent shivers down my spine. "You been watching me?" "For 6 weeks." She reached out, her fingers hovering near my face before she pulled back. The staring, I arranged it. I needed to know if you could receive a full memory transfer. Most humans can't handle direct neural contact with us. Their minds fracture. Jesus Christ. I set the container down before I dropped it. "You could have killed me?" "I would have stopped before permanent damage," she said it matter-of-factly, then noticed my expression. "On my world, the pursuit of truth justifies calculated risks. I apologize if your morality differs. My morality very much differs, I said, but my anger was undermined by fascination. What did you show me? Those laboratories, the experiments. Is the human Thessarian exchange program a cover for something? Kivara's eyes brightened with what I'd come to recognize as respect. Your people believe you came here to study our culture, to establish diplomatic relations. The truth is far more complicated. She stood, walking to a wall panel that illuminated at her touch, displaying complex diagrams. 50 years ago, a human ship crashed on our moon. We retrieved it, studied it, found something in the crew's genetic code that we've been searching for across 1,000 worlds. What could humans possibly have that you need? She turned to face me, and for the first time since we'd met, her confidence wavered. Fertility. The Thessarians are dying out, Ethan. We can live for centuries, but we can only reproduce once, maybe twice, in a lifetime. Our population has been declining for generations. In human DNA, we found a catalyst, something that could revolutionize our reproductive biology. So you're what, experimenting on us? On volunteers initially. Her skin flushed dark with shame. But when results were promising, the council grew impatient. They began taking genetic samples from all humans who visited. Small amounts during routine medical scans. Nothing you would notice. I stood, anger overriding my fascination. That's a violation. We trusted you. I know. She moved closer, her hand finally making contact, cupping my jaw. Her touch was electric, and despite my anger, I didn't pull away. That's why I'm telling you, because the next phase begins tomorrow. The council plans to propose a breeding program, encouraging human Thessarian partnerships. They'll make it seem voluntary, desirable even, but it's manipulation based on stolen research. And what am I supposed to do about it? My voice came out rougher than intended. I'm one researcher. They'll ship me back to Earth if I cause trouble. Not if you have proof. Her thumb traced my cheekbone, her gaze intense. Not if you have someone on the inside willing to risk everything to expose the truth. Why would you betray your own people? Kivara's expression softened into something achingly human. Because I was in that medical pod you saw. I volunteered for the genetic integration trials. They changed me, Ethan. Mixed human DNA with mine to see if it would take. It did. I'm one of 3 successful hybrids, and I can tell you that what they did to us, what they plan to do to others, it's wrong. Some things are wrong in any morality. Before I could respond, she kissed me. Her lips were softer than I'd imagined, warmer, and the kiss sent cascading waves of sensation through my entire nervous system. Not just physical pleasure, but emotional resonance. I could feel her desperation, her loneliness, the weight of secrets she'd carried alone for too long. When we broke apart, I was trembling. Was that part of the memory transfer thing? No, Kivara whispered, her forehead resting against mine. That was just a kiss. Though for my people, kissing is far more intimate than for yours. We share emotional states through physical contact. You felt what I feel. I felt everything. My hands found her waist, pulling her closer. God, Kivara, you're terrified and heartbroken and drawn to you, she finished. Yes. The hybrid process didn't just change my biology. It changed my desires, my emotional responses. I feel things now that pure Thessarians don't. Longing, lust, love. Her skin shifted to warm copper. The scientists considered it a side effect. I consider it the first honest thing I've felt in years. I should have been thinking about the conspiracy, about the evidence I needed to gather, about the political ramifications. Instead, I was drowning in her luminous eyes, in the feel of her body against mine, in the knowledge that this beautiful, dangerous creature had chosen to trust me. Show me more, I said. Not about the conspiracy, about you. Her breath caught. Ethan, if we do this, if we join physically, it's not casual for my people. The neural bonding during intimacy is intense. You'll know all of me. Every memory, every secret, every shameful thought. And you'll know mine, I pointed out. Seems fair. She studied my face for a long moment, then took my hand and led me deeper into her dwelling. Her sleeping chamber was bathed in soft purple light, the walls covered in what I recognized as personal memorials, images of other Thessarians, places, moments frozen in time. These are the people I've lost, she explained quietly. My clutchmates, my mentors, friends who died in the name of scientific progress. She touched one image, a young Thessarian with skin like starlight. This was Theron. He was in the trials with me. His body rejected the human DNA. He died screaming, and they recorded every moment for data. I pulled her close, and she melted into my arms with a shuddering breath. I'm so sorry, I murmured against her hair. That impossible mercury hair that felt like cool silk. Don't be sorry, she said, pulling back to look at me with fierce determination. Help me make it mean something. Help me stop them from doing this to others. I will, I promised. But tonight, can we just be two people who need each other? Her answer was another kiss. Deeper this time, more urgent. Her hands explored my body with curiosity and growing confidence, learning the contours of human anatomy. When I pulled her shirt over her head, revealing iridescent skin that glowed in patterns I couldn't decipher, she laughed, a sound like bells. Your expression, she teased. Am I so strange to you? You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I said honestly. She guided my hands to her body, teaching me where Thessarians found pleasure. Spots along her spine that made her gasp, the sensitive ridges along her ribs, the hollow of her throat where her pulse beat visible beneath translucent skin. Every touch deepened our connection. I began to feel her pleasure as my own, our sensations blending until I couldn't tell where I ended, and she began. When we finally joined together, the neural bond snapped into place with overwhelming force. I experienced her entire life in fragmented flashes, hatching from a crystalline egg alongside 6 siblings, the first time she saw the stars, the day she decided to dedicate herself to science, the horror of watching her fellow volunteers suffer and die, the loneliness of harboring truth no one wanted to hear. And she experienced mine, my childhood on Earth, my obsession with alien civilizations, the failed relationship that drove me to accept an off-world assignment, my fear that I'd never find somewhere I truly belonged. Our bodies moved together as our minds intertwined. She was different than human women, more flexible. Her internal anatomy adapted in ways that sent pleasure spiraling through us both. But the physical was almost secondary to the mental intimacy. We weren't just making love. We were merging souls. Ethan, she gasped, her voice in my mind and out loud simultaneously. I've never... Neither have I managed, overwhelmed by the intensity. God, Kivara, I can feel you everywhere. Her skin blazed with color, gold and crimson and electric blue, emotions made visible. I felt her walls crumbling, years of isolation and pain giving way to connection, to trust, to something that felt dangerously close to love. When we reached climax together, the bond surged so powerfully that for a moment I forgot which body was mine. We collapsed together, tangled and trembling, the neural link slowly fading to a warm undercurrent of connection. That was... I couldn't find words. Terrifying and perfect, she finished, her head on my chest, listening to my heartbeat. Ethan, you need to understand. For Thessarians, what we just did, it's permanent. I'll carry part of you in my mind for the rest of my life, and you'll carry me. I know, I said, running my fingers through her mercury hair. I felt the bond forming. I wanted it. She lifted her head, eyes shining with unshed tears. Then you need to know everything, not just about the conspiracy, but about what I've done, the choices I made that I'm not proud of. I braced myself as she opened her mind fully, letting me see the darkest corners. I saw her falsifying reports to buy time for her investigation. I saw her sabotaging equipment when experiments went too far. I saw her mercy killing a volunteer whose suffering had become unbearable. And I saw her original mission, the reason she'd chosen me specifically. "You were assigned to seduce me," I said, the realization bitter on my tongue, "to test if human hybrid bonding was possible for the breeding program." "Yes," she admitted, shame coloring her skin dark purple. "That was my mission. Gain your trust, establish emotional connection, bond with you, report the results." She met my eyes despite her obvious distress. "But Ethan, somewhere between watching you and talking to you and touching you, it stopped being an assignment. I fell in love with you. Real love, the human kind, the kind my people don't feel." I should have felt betrayed. Instead, I just felt sad. "How do I know this isn't still manipulation?" "You don't," she said simply. "You have to choose to trust me, just like I'm choosing to trust you, with information that will get me executed if the council discovers my betrayal. The evidence is in my neural interface. Every communication, every file, every crime they've committed. I'm giving you access to all of it. You could destroy me with this information." She pressed her palm to my temple, and I felt a rush of data flooding my consciousness. Terabytes of encrypted files suddenly accessible to my neural implant, the standard issue device all human researchers received. "There," she whispered. "Everything you need to expose them. Even if they kill me, you can complete the mission." "I'm not letting them kill you," I said fiercely, pulling her close. "We expose them together, or not at all." "Then we need a plan," she said, settling against me with renewed determination. "The council meets tomorrow to finalize the breeding program proposal. Ambassador Wells will be there. She's one of 3 humans on Thesara, with enough authority to halt the proceedings if presented with undeniable proof." "How do we reach her? The council building is restricted." Kivara smiled, sharp and dangerous. "Leave that to me. I'm still officially part of the genetics program. I have access. But Ethan," her expression sobered, "once we do this, everything changes. You can never return to your old life. The council has too much influence, and I'll be an outcast from my own people. We'll have each other, but we'll be fugitives." I kissed her, slow and deep, letting her feel my certainty through our bond. "Then we'll be fugitives together." The council chamber gleamed with the same crystalline beauty as the rest of Thesara, all organic architecture and bioluminescent art. But knowing what I now knew, it looked sinister. Behind this beauty, they committed atrocities in the name of survival. Kivara and I entered separately, as planned. She walked with the other scientists, her skin a neutral gray to hide her emotional state. I accompanied Ambassador Wells, having requested an urgent meeting that morning by claiming I'd discovered crucial information about Thessarian culture. The ambassador, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s named Patricia, had been skeptical but intrigued enough to bring me along. Now she sat beside me in the human delegation area, whispering, "This better be good, Reed. I'm missing breakfast for this." "It's bigger than you can imagine," I murmured back. The council leader, an ancient Thessarian named Vorath, whose skin had faded to pale white with age, called the meeting to order. We gathered to discuss the Harmony Initiative, a proposal for voluntary human Thessarian partnerships to strengthen the bonds between our peoples. The presentation began, all carefully crafted lies. They showed data on mutual benefits and cultural exchange, never mentioning the stolen genetic material or the volunteers who died. I watched Kivara across the chamber, saw her skin fluctuate in colors despite her attempts at control. When Vorath opened the floor for questions, I stood. "Ambassador Wells, council members, I apologize for the interruption, but I have evidence of crimes committed against humanity in the name of this initiative." The chamber erupted. The Thessarian guards moved toward me, but Ambassador Wells held up her hand. "Explain yourself, Dr. Reed, quickly." I activated my neural interface, projecting the files Kivara had given me onto the chamber's central display. Lab reports appeared, detailed accounts of human DNA harvesting without consent, records of failed hybrid experiments, death certificates covered up as accidents. For 3 years, I said, my voice ringing through the suddenly silent chamber. The Thessarian Genetic Council has been conducting unauthorized experiments on human visitors. They've been taking genetic material, creating hybrids, and covering up failures. This Harmony Initiative isn't about cultural exchange. It's about solving your reproduction crisis using humanity as raw materials. Vorath's skin flashed angry red. Seize him! This is classified material. Classified crimes, Ambassador Wells interrupted, standing beside me. Her face had gone pale with fury. Is this true, Council Leader? Have you been experimenting on humans without consent or oversight? It was necessary, Vorath said, dropping the pretense. Our species faces extinction. We found a solution in human genetics. Would you have us simply die out when salvation was within reach? I would have you ask, Wells shot back. We're not laboratory animals. We're sentient beings deserving of basic respect. Kivara stood then, her skin blazing gold. Courage in Thessarian body language. The Council lies even now. The experiments weren't just about genetics. They sought to create a hybrid servant class, beings with human adaptability and Thessarian longevity who could be controlled through neural conditioning. I know this because I'm one of them. The chamber exploded into chaos. Thessarians shouted, "Humans!" demanded answers. Guards looked uncertain about who to restrain. Kivara walked toward me, ignoring the turmoil. When she reached me, she took my hand, our bond flaring with shared determination. I've transmitted all the evidence to the Human Embassy and to the Thessarian Ethics Commission, she announced. Both our peoples will know the truth. Vorath moved with surprising speed for someone so old, pulling a weapon I didn't recognize, some kind of neural disruptor. You've destroyed everything, he snarled at Kivara. Centuries of work, our only hope for survival. There's always another way, I said, stepping partially in front of Kivara. One that doesn't require deception and violation. But it requires you to see us as equals, not resources. For a long moment, I thought Vorath would fire. Then Ambassador Wells spoke, her voice carrying authority. Council Leader, I am formally suspending all aspects of the exchange program pending investigation. Any harm to Dr. Reed or the witness, Kivara, will be considered an act of war against humanity. Stand down! Slowly, the weapon lowered. Vorath looked ancient and defeated. We were desperate, he said quietly. You cannot understand what it is to watch your entire civilization slowly die. You're right, I can't, Wells said, her tone softening slightly. But desperation doesn't justify evil. If you truly want our help, it begins with honesty and consent. It begins with treating us like partners, not prey. The meeting dissolved into emergency sessions, with both Thessarian and human leaders calling for investigations and reforms. Kivara and I were escorted out by human security, no longer safe in the council building. In the corridor outside, I pulled her close. You did it. You exposed them. We did it, she corrected, her skin shifting through colors that I'd learned meant joy and relief and lingering fear. But Ethan, they'll never forgive me. I'll never be able to return to Thessarian society. I'm truly alone now. Not alone, I said firmly. You have me, and we'll figure out the rest together. Ambassador Wells found us minutes later. Dr. Reed, Kivara. That was brave and reckless and absolutely necessary. Thank you. She paused, studying our joined hands. I'm going to need extensive debriefings from both of you. And Kivara, I suspect you'll need asylum. We can arrange that. What about the Harmony Initiative, I asked. Will Thessara get the help they need? That depends on them, Wells said. If they're willing to be honest, to follow proper protocols, to treat humans as true partners, maybe we can find an ethical solution to their crisis. But it will take time and trust, both of which they've damaged badly today. As we walked toward the human embassy, Kivara stopped suddenly. Ethan, I need to know, do you regret it? Meeting me, bonding with me, throwing away your career for this? I turned to face her fully, cupping her luminous face in my hands. Through our bond, I let her feel my certainty, my affection, my hope for our uncertain future. I regret nothing. You showed me a truth worth fighting for. and you gave me something I've been searching for my whole life. What's that? A place where I belong. Not Earth or Thesara, but right here, with you. Her kiss tasted like tears and triumph, like endings and beginnings. Around us, two civilizations faced a reckoning that would reshape their relationship forever. But in that moment, we were just two souls who'd found each other across the vast darkness of space, who'd chosen truth and love over comfort and lies. The future was uncertain. We'd made powerful enemies and would face consequences for our actions. But we'd also sparked a revolution, one that insisted on dignity, consent, and the radical notion that survival never justifies dehumanization. As Kavar and I entered the embassy together, still holding hands, still connected by our neural bond, I knew that whatever came next, we'd face it together. Some truths are worth fighting for. Some loves are worth any cost. And sometimes, a single accidental glance can change the fate of worlds. The end.